Today's class is a roller workout, myofascial, and it's going to look at the front of the body, the side of the body, the back of the body, tightness, imbalances, connections. But let's just do a vagal release before we start. And we're going to do vagal release using the breath to signal the brain to let go of dominant right side. So we're right-sided in our brain, whether we're left-handed or right-handed. So the right side of the brain, left side of the brain is focusing on the right, and also the right side as well. So there's a dominance to the right, which is also influenced by anatomy. So with this exercise, it's going to, through the vagal system, just help us to come into our left side more, which then allows the right side to relax. So it brings you into more balance. So I want you just to stand at the wall. I want you to put your low spine, your pelvis, sacrum, on the wall, so you're slightly tucked. And let's just do a bit of a test. Let's just turn our head to the right, look forward, look to the left. So you're just assessing how free does my neck feel. So when you do this release, you should get a release, a relaxation of the neck, the thoracic spine, the pelvic spine, and the back muscles, the shoulder girdle. So coming to a sort of a goalpost position. Make sure your elbows are in line with your shoulders, and a good test of your shoulder girdle is to bring your hands down towards the wall and just stop when you feel like you're getting stuck. So I'm about halfway towards the wall, and then I can feel tightness in my shoulders, tightness in my neck. Okay, and then let's just focus on the breath now. So we're going to take the right arm in front of us, so right side dominance, right diaphragm dominance, right psoas dominance, pelvic tuck, and we're going to put our left hand in the space between the ribs and the pelvis, and we're going to breathe in through the nose for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold our breath for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Blow out through the mouth, and imagine you're blowing up a balloon for 5, and as you breathe out, that will bring you slightly into a flexed spine, so you might start to leave the wall through the upper body, but make sure your pelvis stays on the wall. So again, stay in this new position, breathing in through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll feel that right side expand. Hold your breath for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Blow the balloon up and just feel the contraction of your obliques, your abdominals, your hip flexors on the left side. So again, it might bring you more forward into flexion. So don't do that with the body, do it with the breath. So breathe into the right side of the rib cage. Feel the ribs expanding. Through the nose. You're reaching through the arm to facilitate that. You hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You blow the balloon up and you breathe out through the mouth. So the visual of a balloon blowing up is quite a strong exhalation. So again, breathe in through the nose. Feel the ribs expand. Hold the breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Blow the balloon up, so I'm leaving the wall quite strongly in my upper body, but the back of my pelvis is still on the wall. So I've forgotten if that's 5 or 6, but we'll do one more. Breathe in through the nose, expand the right side rib cage. That creates a little bit of length in that right side. You hold your breath for 5. You blow the balloon out up through the mouth, and that's going to contract and shorten this left side. And then when you've done the 5 breath cycles, you drop your arm and you slowly roll back up the wall. So we tend to be very long in the right side and short in the right and long in the left. So that 5 breath pattern brings us into a more centered position. So just check your neck. This exercise doesn't work for everyone, but I'm going to try a different one at each class. And you've just got to figure out which is the breath pattern that suits your pathology, whatever's going on in your body. So come back to the goalpost again. Elbows in line with shoulders. You're slowly dropping the arms, and maybe there's an increase. I can feel definitely, I can't quite touch the wall, yes I can, So that was a huge improvement for me with that one because I was only halfway down. And now that means my neck muscles, my shoulder girdle muscles are regulated and they're balanced. So, and there's one you can do for the hip flexors as well, which we can try that on the floor. So come down onto the floor. So 5 breaths. If you find the right breathing pattern, you can help to regulate and balance your body, depending on whether it's your neck, your shoulder girdle, your rib cage, your pelvis, your back, all of those things. So a good test for the hip flexors is just to lie on your left side. Bring your left knee forward, and what you would do is you would just drop the knee towards the floor. So I'm pretty tight still in my hip flexors. I've got a release in my neck and shoulder girdle, but the hip flexors are still quite locked on. I can't touch the floor. I'm not forcing it, I'm just dropping the knee, and I can feel this tightness in here. So next week we'll do one for that to address that. So now we're on the other side now. So the bottom knee is brought forward, top knee is bent, and I'm a little bit looser on that side. I can touch the floor, but it's not comfortable. I'm a little bit tight through here as well. So I've still got tight hip flexors. So let's come into the roller. I wanted you to have a towel so that if anything is a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit restricted, you've got an easy choice. So we're going to start with the side of the body, and we're going to bring the roller into the armpit. So when you do this one, you want to put your head in your hands. You want to be think of the armpit as 3 zones. You've got the front of the armpit, the middle of the armpit, the back of the armpit. Keep your chin slightly retracted, and you're just rolling from front to back. So at the front, we've got pectoral muscles. In the middle, we've got arm muscles coming into the shoulder girdle. Towards the back, we've got subscapularis and latissimus dorsi, back muscles and shoulder blade muscles. So there's a lot of muscles at this point of the body. And I'm finding that they're all a little bit sore. So if you've been very active with your arms, these muscles, the shoulder girdle, is going to become very, very tight. And you're going to notice there's some triggers in these muscles. So, roll backwards and forwards, do about 10. And while you're doing it, make sure there's not too much activity in the neck. If your neck doesn't like this position, you could hold the back of your neck with your hand, or you could put your hand around the front and just support the neck so the head is not hanging, so the neck muscles are not too dominant. If you've got dominant neck muscles, it's very hard to target other muscles in the body because those dominant muscles are not going to let you let go. So going back to the wall exercises, what we were doing is we were using breath, using the diaphragm and the psoas to message through the breathing, through the vagal system to the brain to regulate and balance right side, left side, to switch on lazy muscles, which then enables dominant muscles to switch off a little bit. So if you did that sort of once or twice a day through a regular period, you'll find that you come very much out of that right side dominance into a more balanced body, and some of these tight muscles of the neck, the rib cage, the spine, the pelvis, leg muscles would start to relax and turn on. So now you've done it about 10 times. If you could figure out one of those 3 was more active, so maybe it's towards the back of the shoulder blade, maybe it's in the middle. For me, it's towards the front, which is chest muscles. Just move into that and just do a little tiny, really tiny scrub. So you're just moving forward and back. So they call it scrubbing, but it's just applying pressure. It's like a pump to the muscles, to the fascia. Just get into that a little bit. Make sure the neck is still retracted. The chin is pulled in slightly so the neck muscles are active. And then a really good way to release the muscles of the armpit is to support the neck. I'm going to go to the front, and you're going to do the Queen's wave, and you're going to take the hand down to the floor and behind the head. So you're shortening, you're tensioning the muscles. So you do 4 or 5 of those. And then the next one would be the hitchhiker's thumb. So you close the fingers, you've got the thumb, you You do the hitchhiker's thumb behind the head, and then you drop to the floor. 1, 2, 3, and release. 1, 2, 3, release. 1, 2, 3, release. Last time. Lovely. So carefully come up, and we're coming into serratus, which are the muscles in the side of the chest. So if you put your fingers on the top side, the fingers run along the ribs, and there's muscles that do exactly the same thing called serratus. So you often see it in swimmers and especially athletic men. You see those finger-like muscles in the sides of the rib cage. So we're just going to move, put the hand on the chest. We're just moving through a small range of about 5 to 6 centimeters around the sides of the rib cage. So we're not applying too much force. These muscles can be quite uncomfortable, quite active, and so you don't need to do very much to just get a release in them. So this is your anterior serratus. So anterior means towards the front of the body. So they're breathing muscles, obviously they're auxiliary breathing muscles, which means they'll jump in if you've got a cold or a cough or faulty breathing patterns, when it should be really the diaphragm, that big muscle muscles under the rib cage, that's doing the work. But these muscles will jump in, the upper pecs will jump in extreme cases, but not a good option for long term, because if your pecs are working too hard, it's going to affect your neck. And some people breathe with the neck, with the scalene, so that's even worse, because the neck, again, is not really designed to be the major breathing muscle. Now, if we turn slightly towards the back, we could bring our knees up a little bit. We're going to be just, I'll just sit up to show you this. You've got your spine, and then the lower 3 ribs, you've got a little fan of muscles that goes from the lowest part of your rib cage to rib 12, 11, and 10. So that is your serratus posterior inferior. So that means the serratus muscles at the back of the rib cage, low down. So you've got your knees up a little bit, you're in a half turn position, and you're just gently dragging your body across the roller or the towel. Get your chin tucked. So these muscles are all connected to the erector spinae, to the quadratus lumborum, long muscles of the back. These are going to get very tight if you're restricted in the lumbar spine, or if you're restricted in the thoracic spine. So these are muscles we forget about, but they can get super irritated and over tight. So you're just doing a gentle scrub. And if I was to use my hand from the bottom of the rib cage, that's probably a good indication of their size. So they don't come up very high, just those lower 3 ribs either side of the spine. Okay, so then we're going to bring the roller down into the gap between the rib and the pelvis, the lowest rib, 12th rib, and the rim of the pelvis. So we're in the side body still, and we're slightly angled backwards. So we're really pushing up under the erector spinae muscles, that big band of muscles that comes down either side of the spine. So you might want to support your neck while you're doing this, so hand at the back or hand around the front, whichever creates the best option for your neck to relax. So just make sure your neck is not hanging, because that's really going to fire up dominant muscles, which is going to stop the brain allowing these muscles to relax. So this is your QL, your quadratus lumborum. So very much a stabilizer of the spine. So you've got QL, you've got the psoas in the front, and you've got QL at the back, either side of the spine, to stabilize those 5 lumbar vertebrae. And the erector spinae are the long muscles of the back that really create overall stability through from the head to the the tailbone. So it feels really nice as you're pushing up against that outer border of the erector spinae. They start to relax, and then deep underneath that, the quadratus starts to relax as well. Be really gentle and not too much forward movement, because that pushes you into the 12th rib and pushes a little bit too much on those processes that come out either side of the spine. So you've got to be gentle, Just got to find that right amount of pressure. Okay, so that's one side. So let's change the other side. So going to the other side armpit, and you're going to support the head. If you can get enough support with the head in the hands, that's great. But if not, hold the head from the back or from the front. The chin is slightly tucked, so the neck muscles are working for you. And you're just doing that gentle roll forward and back. So think of it as 3 zones. So the front of the armpit is pectoral muscles, chest muscles. The middle of the armpit is latissimus dorsi, arm muscles. Towards the back, you've got your subscapularis and teres major, some of the rotator cuff muscles. So just roll through those zones about 10 times, just so that you completely work that area, but also you're trying to fact find and just see which of those 3 regions is the most uncomfortable. So for me on the other side, it was the front of the armpit. This side, it's more the back of the armpit. So don't always expect things to be the same. Keep the chin tucked. Just a little bit more. Yeah, and as I'm doing it, I can feel that the tenderness is increasing as the muscles start to relax. The triggers are becoming a little bit more aware. So then figure out front, middle or back, and just do a little bit of scrubbing in the region that you feel is the most in need of it. Check the neck's okay. So support the back of the neck. You can cup the neck with fingers and create a lot of support either from the front or from the back. So then we did we took the hand away. So this is where you need to support the neck now. And we did the Queen's wave. So bringing in the wave is also going to connect you to the arm lines, the myofascial trains into the arms. So I can feel on this side, there is quite a bit of activity going down, even into my little finger. A little bit of something going on. And then after we did about 5, we closed the fingers, we did the hitchhiker's thumb behind the head, 1, 2, 3, and then you take the little finger to the floor. 1, 2, 3. That's bringing in my shoulders and my triceps. I've got a thumbs up there. No idea. Oh, it's because I'm doing it. Hey, that's an interactive. Because I did the thumbs up. I got the thumb on screen. This is AI for you. I don't know if you can see it or it's just me. Last one. Lovely. So carefully come up. Yep, see we've got the thumbs up there. Intelligent TV. So coming to the muscles in the sides of the rib cage. So 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers is like 4 of those lower ribs, and you're just moving through the side of the rib cage. Keep your chin tucked. So the roller is really good. It's quite broad, so it's going to get all 4 of those ribs. So not so much the lower ones. It's the ribs in the middle of the rib cage that you'll see the finger-like muscles coming around. For guys, obviously, you might get a little bit higher up as well. You could do a little bit of scrubbing. If you feel there's activity there, I'm just dragging my body across the roller. Make sure the neck doesn't feel too active. Got thumbs up again. No idea. I'll never understand Zoom. So then you're coming down to the lower rib. So 12th rib is the weakest rib. So you're just below the 12th rib, between the rib and the crest of the pelvis. You're angled slightly backwards. So you're pushing up against that thick, long band of muscles that we call erector spinae. So if you feel with your top hand, you can feel there's a really strong band of muscles either side of the spine. You're pushing up against the outer border of those muscles. Not too much forward movement. You don't want pressure on those low ribs. And support the neck again if you feel your neck is a little bit too active. There's a little bit of obliques in here as well. So there's external, internal obliques crossover at this place. So you're also working through them, and they're very much part of the lateral myofascial trains. So the next group of muscles we're going to look at is going to be jumping into the front of the body, and it's the six-pack muscles, which is called rectus abdominis. Rectus abdominis goes from the pubic bone to the bottom of the breastbone. So when you see those six-pack muscles with people that are really defined, these are our rectus abdominis. Their job is just to flex the body. So they're not the deep abdominal muscles, they're the superficial ones, but they can get too tight and they can cause problems in the back. So the trigger points for here, and you might want to use a towel instead, is just above the pubic bone. So you're going to come onto your front, just above the pubic bone. There's a collection of trigger points. There's about 4 triggers to either side. And you're going to put your elbows under your shoulders and just, just gently drag your body from right to left. So you're just doing a little bit, using pressure really. You could extend the legs, and you could also do a little bit of rolling up and down. Above the front, these are the bones of the pelvis here and the pubic bone. You're just rolling up and down through about 3 or 4 centimeters here. So if you do a lot of manual work, this muscle, because you're bending and flexing all the time, can get short and tight. And then if it doesn't let go, it's going to pull your body forward. It's going to put strain into the back. So it's one to keep an eye on. Okay, so from here, we're going to do a little side turn, and we're going to bring our body onto the side of the pelvis. Check your elbow is under your shoulder or even slightly in from there. This is one you might want to use a towel. So if you're very tight through the hip flexors, then, so hip flexors here would be the middle quadricep and tensor fascial lata here. And if you're tight in your glutes, all of these ranges are going to be uncomfortable. So you can do this with bent knees, feet on the floor, or you can straighten your legs, keep your chin tucked so the neck is active, and you're rolling from the front to the side to the back of the pelvis. So you want to be on the bone. You don't want to be lower down. So lower down, you've got pelvis here. Lower down is the greater trochanter, the big bump at the top of the leg, and then the legs come down. So we're very much on the ilium, which is the bone of the pelvis. So just like we did the armpit, you're going from the front to the middle to the back, and you do about 10, because all of these muscles are going to be tight. These are walking muscles, these are hip stabilizers, hip flexors. So they're going to be super active, so they're all going to be irritated, but you're just trying to discern which one is the one that needs the most attention. So for probably, I'm guessing, but probably it will be the one at the front, so TFL. So you could bring your top knee onto the roller, come into a half turn, and just do a little bit of up and down. I'm using my toes to create the movement. You could drop your head down if your neck feels a little bit too active. So TFL is it's the muscle that's most active when we're walking. So as we lift the foot, the TFL on the other side, on the standing side, has to really tighten up to stabilize the hip and the knee. And so it's got a lot of work to do, and it's quite a small muscle, so then it gets super tight. So a little bit of scrubbing here. You could put the knee on the floor. You could do a little bit of up and down. You could do some circles. So just again, just go back into the side position, go to the back. So we're just going to roll across. Hopefully that feels a little bit better. So let's change sides. So again, we're going to put the elbow under the shoulder. You could have the knees bent, which means there's a little bit less tension in the muscles. If you straighten the legs, these muscles become stretched and taut. So that means the release will be a little bit more painful. So you're rolling from front to back. Think of your body like a log. So you want the whole body to roll in a uniform way, not with the spine wiggling, because that's not great for the spine. So you're doing it about 10 times. We know that all these muscles are going to be active. They're going to have triggers in them that want a little bit of release. Keep the chin tucked so there's not too much involvement in the neck. So TFL at the front, you've got glute minimus at the side, you've got glute medius at the back. So they're all pretty unhappy muscles that need a little bit of attention. We'll come back to the glutes. So if it is the glutes, we'll give them a little bit of tension in a minute. So we'll come to TFL, which is bringing the top knee onto the roller or the towel. And then we're using the toe to just roll up and down along the bone of the pelvis. So we're just slightly off from the front of the pelvis, just in that side position. So for TFL, the landmark is always, if you put your hands in your jeans pocket, that's where TFL would be. Easy to find because you can feel it. So you're going up and down, put the knee on the floor, and you could do a foot drop, lifting, or you could do foot circles, and just find. So that's moving the muscle as we apply pressure. You could drop your head if you feel your neck's a little bit uncomfortable. Just get the neck out of this. So one of the major hip flexors is the middle quadricep. So the next one we're going to do, so jumping back in to the front of the body again, is we're going to come onto our knees. We're going to come into the front position with the roller, and we're going to roll up and down the middle of the thighs. So this is your femoris, rectus femoris, which is your, one of your most active hip flexors. It's the middle quad. It's very strong. You can do a foot lift. You're just going from one to the other. If you want to be a little bit stronger, you can lift both feet and you can just roll up through. If you want to bring your abs in, you do a little bit of a hike and you lift your pelvis. Drop your head. So that's flexing your spine, it's contracting your abs, takes your mind off of the quads a little bit. For girls, maybe not for boys, but for girls, you can roll all the way up to the pubic bone and to the front of the pelvis. So you're just getting into that six-pack muscles again. And then when you're ready, just put the knees on the floor and come back into kneeling. And just have a little rest for a minute. So we could just come into the shoulder girdle here, put the hands on the roller, drop the head. One of my favourite stretches for the roller is just to gently roll the roller forward and back and just get into the triceps, the shoulders, the lats, upper back muscles, the glutes. You can feel the bottom stretching as well, and just the long muscles of your back. Tuck your tailbone under and round up into an upright position. We'll just do that one more time. We'll roll away, drop the head. You're just going to go forward and back. You can even massage your forearms. So I'm going just below the elbow here and I'm massaging the forearms and I'm just rolling. And then you can pull the roller towards your knees and do a little gentle up and down bounce. Very gentle. Just get into the shoulder blades, the shoulder girdle, and then roll the knees, roll the roller in towards the knees. So we've done the TFL, glute medius, glute minimus. So we're going to come into quads now. Quads can be pretty nasty. So I want you to lie on your side, and you're going to, I've got my pillow here, you probably want your pillow just to support your head. And you're in the side lying position, and you're going to you're going to work from about a third of the way up from the inside of the knee. So you could put the whole foot on the roller and just gently do this, or you can work at the end of the roller and let the foot hang. And you're just going to roll that lower third of the inner thigh. So if you go higher than that, you're getting into your adductors. We're trying to hit the medial, the middle quadricep. Can put the foot on the other leg as well, so it's not hanging. And the things you can do to speed this up is just to swing the leg. Suddenly it's become painful. Feel like you're digging in the sand, so you pull your toes up. As the leg swings forward, pull the toes up to get a little bit more active in that inner quad. And like all big muscles, they don't release quickly. So as you do this, suddenly the pain, the muscles relax, and then there's the triggers, you can feel them. So there's a little cluster on the inside of the knee. So this is your vastus medialis obliquus, which is really influences the knees. So if you get knee pain, sometimes it's this inner quadricep is a little bit too tight and it's pulling on the knees, taking you out of a good alignment in walking, and then you start to get knee issues. Another way to relax this muscle is to hike the foot up so that you get shear force pressure into that muscle and the triggers. So VMO is quite an important muscle. If you're somebody that has knee issues, you want to keep an eye. So these knee problems often get misdiagnosed when they're just really imbalances in the legs and the thigh muscles, and the trigger points are overactive. Okay, so let's do the other side. So you could just turn over if you know what you're doing. I'm changing ends so you can see. So I like to work at the end of the roller, but you could put the whole roller in front of you and your whole leg on the roller, or you get towards the end of the roller, angle it out from you, and let your foot hang or settle on the other leg. So you're going to roll forward and back. You want to have your spine, your shoulder, your ribs, your pelvis, your hips all rolling together, so the spine isn't doing anything horrible and causing issues in the spine. So we forget about the spine when we're focusing on trigger point work, and sometimes we notice that we irritated the neck or the lumbar spine just because we weren't paying attention and we were doing something that was irritating existing problems. So you're rolling forward and back in that lower third on the inner band of the inside of the leg. So once you've done that a few times, you could add the extending leg and pulling the toes up. So what they say, it's like you're digging through the sand and you're just pulling your toes up at the very last minute just to really get these muscles working. That's certainly taken me into a little bit more contact with the triggers. It's a little bit more painful. And then the next one, once that has become a little bit more bearable, is the hiking up of the foot, just to get into, there we go. So that's your middle quadricep. So we've got the rectus femoris is the biggest one, we've got the medial one, we've got a lateral one, and we've got an intermedius one, which is underneath the rectus femoris. So 4 muscles that make up the quads. You usually get to intermedius when you do rectus femoris indirectly. As the rectus relaxes, then the intermedius starts to feel it as well. So coming into the lateral one, now the lateral one is very much connected to the iliotibial band and the TFL. So this is where you might want to use a towel. If you were to look at the side of your leg, you would divide the leg into, so from the pelvis, 3 zones. And the triggers are in the 1, 2, 3, they're in the middle zone. So you're going to come onto your side on the towel, in the middle of the outside of the leg. And you'll probably know straight away that you're in the right place, because vastus lateralis is usually pretty out of balance because it's all part of the TFL chain. So you've got TFL, tightest part of the body, you've got your iliotibial band, which tensions and balances the knee, and the lateral quadricep is very much active and connected to that chain. So 3 triggers in the middle of the outer thigh are often very unhappy. So again, you stay here and then you start to feel as the muscle relaxes, you can feel those triggers. You could lie flat. If you're up on your elbow, that's pushing down into the towel, which is creating a little bit more pressure. And if you've done this, if you do this regularly, I do this one all the time, then eventually you can progress to the roller, but it's not, the roller is not for beginners because it is quite hard. If those triggers are very active, you put your foot like this, you can feel that the roller is, it's a little bit too much pressure. Just watch your shoulder. I'm slightly overextending here, so just make sure that you're not going to do anything to the neck and the shoulder. Okay, so let's do the other side. We've got a fair bit to get through. Running out of time. I can see the time ticking away. So think of 3 zones. You've got the ASIS at the top, you've got the knee, 3 zones, and you're in the middle band, and there's 3 triggers in the middle band, right on the outside of the thigh, and they're easy to find because they're so painful. So there they are, straight to it, didn't need to look. It's like probably a 9 on this side, it's a 9 out of 10. So you've got to, maybe you stay with the towel if it's really high. So you're looking for that ideal number of 6, maybe 7. Some people have got a higher pain threshold, but whatever you perceive to be 6 or 7, 7 would be the maximum, and then you're starting to move into pain and defense. So that's not going to work. The brain's not going to allow anything to release while you're in that state. So you've got to come down from that, be more gentle, and then the brain perceives that what you're doing is good, and then it allows the reflex to release. So this side is worse, and again, this is to do with imbalances of right side dominance, left side inhibition, or the other way around. And so whatever's going on, just, you know, work to that level. So I'm not going to go to the roller on this side because I'm feeling like I'm at the perfect 6 here. And if I went to the roller, it pushed me right back up to the 9 again, and that's counterproductive. So what we have is we have synergistic dominance, which means one side of the body is dominant and that inhibits the opposite muscle group that it's working with. So we're all the time trying to work on this, what's called reciprocal inhibition, so that the dominant side can relax. It's quite complex, but, you know, just bringing the body into balance. And the best way is to use the breath, is to use the vagal system, rather than stretches which don't really work. Trigger points work. Again, it's using the vagal system, it's using the nervous system. So that's the way to get big changes in the body. Okay, so that's our outer quads, our inner quads, and our medial quads. So let's now come to calves. Calves is probably, shins and calves, probably one of the nastiest releases. So you need the roller for the shins, and you don't need to do it for very long, but you're going to bring your middle shin onto the roller, hands on the shoulders, and you're just going to roll out anterior tibialis, which is really good for relaxing and balancing our ankles. A little bit of ab work going on here. And then you could just put the toes on the floor, and you could just sit into the feet a little bit and just allow the pressure of the roller just to really start to relax the muscles that are in the front of the legs. We'll just see how that goes. I'm pushing and pulling with my toes just to get into the middle here of the big muscles at the front of the leg. Another thing you can do is you're in the middle of the shin bone, you're a long way away from the ankles, you don't put pressure on the ankles, and you could just do some foot circles. Go the other way. So as you make the circles with the feet, you can feel the anterior tibialis, the muscles in the front of the leg, moving and working to create that ankle movement. So that gives you your connection. Okay, so that's probably long enough. Take the roller away. So now you've got an option. You could use the towel. You're going to put the roller behind you and you're going to sit on the roller. So this is a little bit hamstrings at the back of the thighs and right into the deepest part of the calf. I think officially this might be my least favourite exercise. It's so painful. Calves are silent muscles. They work all day, every day. They never tell the brain that they're fatiguing. And so very rarely you might get cramped now and again. So when you do any sort of pressure work on them, it's a little bit of a shock to realise just how tight these muscles are. So how about we just do a little pelvic tuck. We tuck our tail and then we come back to neutral. We're tucking our tail. This is too painful. Grab the towel. So a little bit of hamstrings through the back of the thigh, lots of calves. And for some people, just having the toes out in this position is a big stretch and is quite a challenge. You can also do a side-to-side glide. That's officially excruciating pain. Ouch, ouch, ouch. These are really big muscles. They're super strong. And so they can handle, as long as you haven't got varicose veins, that would be counterindicated. But if you've got good veins, just sliding right to left, it just helps to relax the muscle fibers. And switch to the towel if it really, really is, you know, a bridge too far. Lovely. That's what we're going to do. That was easy. Come to sitting on the roller. Sit just in front of your sit bones. So the sit bones are the bones at the bottom of the pelvis, and you're just going to lean forward and not rounding your back. That pushes tension into your back. Think nose to big toe, so my upper back is very straight, and I'm just going to point and flex, and point and flex. So what I'm doing is I'm shortening the hamstrings, I'm lengthening them. I'm applying pressure on their origin, where they begin. So it's not the best way to release hamstrings. The best way with hamstrings is not the roller, it's really using a ball, sitting on a chair. They're such big, strong muscles. It's very hard to get enough pressure using a roller. You need to be a little bit more directed. But this is, you know, allowing them to stretch long and then to shorten. Stretch long. You could do a little bit of side-to-side scrubbing. Just to see how that goes. So from here, we're going to do a half turn and we're going to turn onto the outer side of the bottom. And we're just going to, first of all, knees together, just roll up and down the side of the pelvis, the back side of the pelvis. Watch your shoulder, watch your elbow, watch your wrist, make sure you're comfortable with that. So this is getting glute medius, glute maximus, and the smaller rotators, the muscles that are, you know, piriformis and the smaller muscles that are below. And if you feel comfortable with this, you could put your foot on the knee. You want to make sure that the top hand is forward, not behind. So if you put the hand behind you, your spine is twisted. So you want your frame of your body to be quite square. And that way the spine is not compromised and you can just get into those glutes. So mainly glute maximus, the rotators, the 6 rotators, a little bit glute minimus, which is towards the top of the leg, in the side. You can also do a little bit of gentle bouncing of that knee. I like to, when I do this one, I like to sort of draw a circle with my pelvis. So I'm going around to cover the whole of the bottom. And then uncross the ankle and come back down. So switching to the other side. You're in that side sit position, knees together, and you're just rolling up and down, and you're just exploring what feels tight, any tenderness here. So one of the major offenders is glute minimus, which is right at the top of your leg bone comes up on a sort of a diagonal line, and you've got that big bump at the top of the leg. You can feel there's bone there. Around the top of that is glute minimus. So you've got to come right the way up, and you can quite often feel that there's some really, really nasty triggers in that area. Lower down towards the sit bone is going to be the rotator muscles. You can try putting the foot on the knee. So it's the knee that's nearest the roller. It's that foot that comes up, and your hand, your top hand, is on that bent knee, not behind. So you're keeping the box of your body nice and square. And then you can make the movement a sort of a elliptical circular movement, just to really hit all the muscles. This is too painful with the roller, then of course you do it with the rolled up towel. Okay, so let's take the foot down. So let's do some ab work. We've released quite a lot of muscles here. So we're going to just check what we're going to do. Yeah, we're going to do it this way. We're going to lie down. We're going to put the roller under the pelvis. We don't want a pillow for our neck because that's going to push the neck forward. You want the roller at the widest part of your pelvis. So if you put your hands either side of your pelvis, that's where the roller needs to be, sort of on the sacrum, so that you can take your hands away and you feel quite comfortable. Feet together, and then just lifting your knees one at a time. So you should feel that that roller is going to stay there quite easily. It's not going to pop out, and it's nowhere near the lumbar vertebra. It's on the back of the pelvis, so that you feel nice and strong. Put your thumbs under the back of your pelvis. So you're holding the roller, and the thumbs are sort of under the pelvis to give your pelvis two stoppers either side, and then just sway the knees from right to left. Keeping the leg bones, the femurs, pointing up to the ceiling or even in towards the chest a little bit. So you don't want your legs out here, putting stress on the back. So you're just rolling across the back of the pelvis. So this is glute medius. Quite a bit of ab work as well. So if you wanted to make this a little bit more abdominal, you do what's called mini marching, and you do a little switch of the knees as you go to the right. Keep it small, controlled, over to the left. So as you move your legs around, your abs are having to work quite hard. A really nice exercise just in of itself, and you're applying the pressure to glute medius, which is, along with QL, quadratus lumborum, is usually a muscle group in the back of the body that is super tight. So come to the middle now, and let's just extend the right leg, and you're going to let the right leg fall out to the side. Keep it in line with your roller and come back to center. Keep the hands at the back of the pelvis so your leg doesn't go too far, falling out and come back in. So we're still massaging glute medius, but now we're stretching our inner thighs, and abs and glutes are working to bring the leg back up again. So it's a combination of release work, stretching, and abdominal work. Okay, so now bring the leg towards the ceiling, and now look at the ceiling and draw a circle with the foot.
not too big. So you're going to stretch your hamstrings, your inner thighs, your glutes, your abs are working. The glutes are working as well in some of that circle. See if you could change the direction of your circle and go the other way. So by the time you've done the second set of these, you can feel transversus abdominis, the low abs working quite nicely, and then bend the knee and bring the feet and the knees together. Extend your left leg and let the leg fall out in line with the roller. Don't go too far. Keep the pelvis level and come back. Falling out, so inner thigh stretches, abs work, glutes work to bring that heavy leg back up again. So prepping the hip for the leg circles. You might notice the inner thighs are quite tight here as well. So then bring the leg to the ceiling and draw a small circle on the ceiling. If you're like me and the circle's a bit wobbly and uncoordinated, really pull your abs in through the pelvic floor, through the belly button, slow the circle down, look at the foot until you can really iron out the errors in the circle. You want to really focus on that circle until it gets to be smooth and well coordinated. Then reverse the direction. To really ask the brain to use motor skills to make this a good circle. If you do it quickly, you can cheat quite a bit, but if you do it slowly, you can see where you've got the errors in the circle, and then you can start to work on those ranges that you're struggling with. Lovely. Bring the knees and the feet together. So a single leg stretch, not too low. You don't want to put pressure on the back, and come back into toes touching. Left leg. Remember to turn out the hip, the knee and the big toe so that you turn off that big strong middle quadricep that's attaching through the fascial system to the back and pushing tension into your back. As you turn the hip out, you're working those rotators, those glute muscles in the back of the pelvis to create stability without tensioning your back. So that's a much better way to do it. You could play around with a little bit lower, but just check as you go a little bit lower that the work is in the legs and the abs, not in the back. Couple more and have a little rest. Go back to your mini marching, rolling over to the right, rolling over to the left, rolling over to the right, rolling over to the left. Come back into center, take the right foot down and glide the foot along the floor, turn out at the hip, and you'll feel tension at the front of the pelvis and the inside of the leg. So there's your hip flexor stretching again. And then turn the big toe to the ceiling, glide that leg back in. Take the left foot to the floor, glide the leg out and turn out at the hip, turn out at the big toe. Feel that little bit of tension in the front of the pelvis. Turn the toe to the ceiling and come back in. And then take your right foot down, take your left foot down and glide the roller forwards. So grabbing the pillow, let's grab the pillow and let's do a little bit of thoracic extension. So you're going to put the pillow at the back of your heart, so mid-thoracic. So this part of our spine needs to be flexible to have good posture, good function. So I've got the pillow at the back of my rib cage. I've got my head on the floor, but my chin is slightly tucked because I don't want my head to feel like it's falling back. And we're going to link the fingers. We're going to put the hands at the back of the head, bring the elbows forward, and we're going to breathe out as if we're blowing up that balloon and float the head. See if as you breathe out, if you can find a connection again with the left side of between the ribs and the pelvis. Breathe in as you slowly go over the pillow, breathe into the right side of your rib cage, the strong side, the bigger side. Open the elbows out to the floor, hold the breath for 5. We're using that breath pattern again. Breathing out, draw the elbows together. Imagine you're blowing up the balloon and see if you can find that little bit of contraction in the waist, in the abs on that left side. Breathe out for a count of 5. So we're using the breath to work the spine, not the movement. So you're breathing in and you're opening the elbows. Breathe into the right side of the rib cage. You hold the breath, elbows to the floor for 5. Close the elbows, breathe out through the balloon, blow the balloon up, so that means a strong exhalation. See if you can find that contraction, left side of body. So one more time, breathing in to lower the head to the floor, expanding into that right side rib cage. Opening the elbows to the floor, hold the breath for 5. As you breathe out, draw the elbows together, blow the balloon up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and gently come back down. Let the head settle on the floor, and then take the hands away from the head. So again, we're messaging the nervous system through the vagal system. Float the hands to the ceiling. Have your feet on the floor, and I want you to just take the right hand up, the left hand down. And then you're not going all the way to the floor, and then come back up and do the left hand up, the right hand down. I want you to imprint your abs, pull your belly button to the back of your rib cage. So I don't want your ribs to lift. I don't want your ribs to flare. And I want you now to focus on the feet on the floor. As you move your right arm down, when do you become aware of that right foot on the floor? Stop at that point. As you move the right arm up, when do you notice the best contact with the floor? So for me, I can feel quite good contact with the right foot on the floor as the hand moves down. But it gets a bit fuzzy as I move the arm upwards, right arm upwards. Try adding the breath to that. So you're going to breathe out as the arm comes towards, right arm comes towards right thigh. Find your feet on the floor, especially the right side. Breathe in as you take the arm overhead, right arm. So a little bit more brain connection for me on the in-breath. Come back to center. Let's focus on the left side now. So we're going to take the left arm down towards the left foot. Right arm overhead. And just focus on where does my brain, how does my brain connect with the foot as I take the arm up and down. So by directing our focus, we're already challenging our nervous system. Try breathing out as the left arm goes towards the left leg. Can you feel the foot on the floor? Breathe in as the left arm goes away. Pull the belly button in a little bit so the ribs don't lift. What sort of brain connection do you have with the foot, the left foot? So again, breathing out as the left arm comes towards the left leg. Can you feel the left foot on the floor? Breathing in as the left arm moves away and up. Can you find your left foot on the floor? Bring the hands together and bring the hands to the stomach again. So just knees and ankles together, roll off the pillow, grab your roller or your towel, and let's just finish with our neck. So always the best way to finish the class, put the roller or the towel into the back of the neck, have the feet on the floor, and just gently roll the nose from right to left, just to massage the back of the neck, the suboccipital muscles. So sometimes our neck pain, our neck tightness our rib cage tightness, our shoulder girdle tightness, is because we don't have a good feeling in the brain of being grounded and connected to the floor through the legs and through the feet. So that can be caused by a lot of different things. Might be just bad shoes, might be postural issues, can be a whole load of things. But the more you increase the connection of the brain to the feet, the easier it is to get dominant muscles to turn off and for inhibited muscles to turn on. So right side, left side with the nose. Go to the right side, do some nodding, up and down through the nose, side to side, right to left, circles. So we're working on this, the mastoid process behind the ear. So we've got all sorts of muscles that are attached to the skull at this point. And then we go over to the left side, nose up and down, side to side, circles. And then finishing right to left, the windscreen wiper, just again, just getting to all those muscles in the side of the neck and the back of the neck. Coming into center, and then ankles and knees together, roll sideways to come up into sitting, and we've finished. Well done.